Welcome to the bonus class, walk cycles. There's a thing about computers that sometimes seems to make it so that what you think you can get done in 15 minutes takes 3 hours. And the things you thought were going to take hours, you get done in minutes. I get a lot of newbies saying, hey, just teach me something simple. Like a walk cycle. Well, truth be told, walk cycles are one of the most difficult things to do right in all of animation. There's so much going on, and we watch people walking every day that we don't really see all that goes into that motion. And every time the cycle repeats, anything that was out of whack stands out more and more, exponentially, every single time the cycle repeats. So walk cycles, run cycles, any kind of cycles, really, they're all quite advanced. But hey, what's life without a few good challenges now and then? Besides, exploring this will help keep your chops hot and give you a taste of what's in store in the next DVD semester of this full character animation series. So, let's load in Bonus Advanced Walk Cycle V000. And we see a very simple 40-frame walk cycle. The first and last frames are the same, so that if we want to play this looping, we have to build our renders and previews from frames 1 to 40, if we don't want the playback to seem to catch just a little as the viewer plays two identical frames in a row. Frame 20 looks like it holds a perfect mirror of what we see on frame 0, and scrubbing through the rest of the scene, everything else looks pretty straightforward. A hint about cycles is that to help Lightwave generate motion curves that will give the appearance of flowing smoothly back into themselves, it's a good idea, once you've got the scene animated, to create a keyframe at 5 frames past the end of our scene from the data we have 5 frames into our scene for all items animating for that cycle, and to create a keyframe 5 frames before the beginning of the scene from the data 5 frames before the end of your scene. This takes the place of the keyframe at -1 we've been doing in previous animations to keep the splines from being, well, too spliny, and smoothing the arcs from the rest pose at frame -200. Something else I'd like to touch on, since I'm giving you a taste of some more advanced materials, is changing the coordinate system Lightwave lets you interact with it. Lightwave stores changes to items' positions, rotations, and scalings with respect to the position, rotation, and scaling of whatever the parent of that item happens to be. In the case of something without a parent, as with the model itself, that's the world's 0, 0, 0. Now, if we rotate the head, torso, hands, bone, and pitch like this, all the children of this item are also rotated. And if we take a look at the movement axis of, say, the head, for example, we see that the green arrow that we've come to think of as up along the y-axis now points some direction other than up. This is why I don't like rotating the model, this bone, and the head torso bone in any other direction other than heading. But there is a bit of a fix for this. It can get you into trouble if you're not careful, so that's why it's a part of the more advanced materials. If you go under Modify, General, Coordinate System, and change your interaction from Parent to World, you see Lightwave's movement axis snap to showing the y-axis pointing straight up again, aligned with the world's orientation. This makes moving items that have had their parents rotated much easier in perspective and camera views, but there's a catch. Let's go back to the parent coordinate system and select the right hand rotate bone. We see the movement axis handles disabled in this viewport, just as we've become accustomed to in our work thus far. But if we change our coordinate system to anything other than parent, those axes again become solid, active handles. If we click on them, we can move the right hand rotation bone away from where it's supposed to be. This can cause some serious frustrations when you've done this without knowing and gotten in a few good poses thrown onto your model with hand rot moved away from the hand trans, and then need to rotate the hand trans bone like this. So, If or when you find it easier for control to work in the translate world or local coordinate systems, it's a good idea to get into the habit of switching back to parent when you moved on to another item. Now, with world coordinate system still active for the move mode, if we jump into rotate mode, we see that it has its own coordinate system settings that it remembers independently of moves settings. And I can't stress strongly enough, if you're doing an animation, don't use any coordinate system other than parent to rotate your items. With Lightwave storing its rotations relative to an item's parent, when you rotate something in a coordinate system other than parent, Lightwave doesn't always in-between properly from where it was to where it is now. Using a coordinate system other than parent to get an item into place may get your control looking just how you want it for that frame, but Lightwave may have to do some pretty funky math to overcome gimbal lock, and that just doesn't animate well. Alright, you know what to do, so do it to it. Have fun, and I'll see you next semester. See you soon.